Bharat, younger brother to Rama and son of Kaikeyi, the queen who had maneuvered the exile of Rama, refused to accept the kingship of Ayodhya. Rather, he marched with his forces to Chitrakoot to persuade Rama to come back to Ayodhya and be the king. In answer to Rama's query as to why Bharat had come to Chitrakoot dressed like a hermit in bark and black buckskin, Bharat responded, "Our valorous father expired as a result of having committed a foul deed. My mother did not get a kingdom, rather, she became a widow. She has committed an evil deed in destroying the prestige of our family, for which even gods will not forgive her. Your subjects and our widowed mothers have come to meet you, Raghuveer. You have always honored others. Being the eldest, you alone have the right to rule the kingdom. Acting justly according to Dharma and keeping in mind the welfare of your people and kin, you must return and be the king. That alone will please all of us. I am your brother and servant. I bow at your feet along with all the ministers accompanying me." Rama reiterated his conviction. He said, "How can a devout and conscientious man born in a family of repute disobey his father's command? I never found fault with you, Bharat. However, you must not condemn your mother. Our father was fully empowered to command his wives and us, his sons. He could justifiably choose anyone as his successor, and he had the legal right to order me into exile. The news of my father's demise is sad, but this is a part of one's life and must not be mourned." Rama continued. He said, "The end result of all acquisition is destruction. A union invariably ends in separation, and every living being ultimately dies. A man meets his end because he is subject to old age and death. Further, Bharat, you must bestow as much respect on your mother as you did on your father. You too cannot ignore his command. I believe that the command of my father that I live in exile for 14 years is binding on me, and that it is for my well-being. I shall not disobey him even if I become immortal by doing so." However, Bharat was not the one to give up soon. Continuing his arguments for his brother's return, he said, "Brother, our father fulfilled his promise to my mother and handed over the kingdom to her, which she handed over to me. Today I offer you the unchallenged kingship of Ayodhya. Come, please come, nourish and rule your kingdom." The wise and patient Rama replied, "Brother, it is the will of God that can do anything, not a human's. We are slaves to Kal that playfully moves us around. A moment in time never recurs, just as the night that has passed shall never be. Day and night move relentlessly, and thus the lifespan of every living being is being exhausted. Bharat, it is time to think of your own interest and not fret about the fate of others. Each one of us awaits death, a goal that steadily draws near. Death follows us like a shadow, however long be our journey. Ultimately, it overtakes us. Neither can we run away from it nor hide the effect of its approach on us. That is the old age. Everyone rejoices when the sun rises and sees the sun set with every passing day. Seldom do they realize that these are just milestones in the journey of life, and mark the end of another day in the lifespan meant for a person. Like two pieces of wood floating in an ocean coming together and parting company after some time. Woman, son, family and wealth come together and go their separate ways in course of time. This is unavoidable, said Rama. No human being can override the appointed time of birth or death. None can anticipate it. Therefore, even the one who repeatedly grieves for the departed cannot postpone his own demise. A river never retraces its path. Similarly, youth, once past its prime, never returns. Life ebbs steadily, and we ought to use our time performing noble deeds. Our father was a devout person, brother. He followed his dharma. He has therefore gone to Swargalok. We do not have to mourn his death. A wise and patient person must not grieve, mourn, or wail under any circumstances. Take control of your emotions, dear brother. Go and stay in Ayodhya as commanded by our father. Bharat replied. He was very sad. I cannot compete with you in knowledge of dharma, my brother. You know the mystery of life and death, and therefore grief cannot approach you. I was away when my mother, nursing evil thoughts, committed the heinous crime of asking for your exile. Forgive me for what she has done. There is a saying that approaching death, human beings lose their balance and fall under delusion. Raja Dashratha's acting so cruelly towards you has proved the truth of this saying. You have argued that you would prefer to be a truthful and obedient son of our father. How then can you support the illegality of what he committed? How can exile coexist with your duty as a Kshatriya? Instead of looking after your prasha, you have taken it upon yourself to live like a hermit. You must not act in such a contradictory manner, my brother. How can I, younger to you in age and wisdom, be a king when you are alive? I have neither talent nor virtue. Without your guidance, I shall not be able to take care of the people. Kindly return to Ayodhya, my brother, and be an unchallenged ruler. If you do this, you will wipe out the stain on my mother's reputation and redeem our father from calumny. If you ignore my submission, I too shall stay with you in the forest. Saying this, Bharat fell at Rama's feet. Assuaging a grieving Bharat, Rama politely told him, O devout brother, for my sake you should settle the debt our father owed your mother. Save him from the fires of hell, and in the bargain enhance the joy of your mother. My brave brother, soon I, accompanied by Lakshman and Sita, shall move into Dandakaranya. You will be the king of the people in Ayodhya, and I will live here in the forest. Let us follow our respective destiny, our dharma, with joy. Bharat, I pray that the royal canopy that outshines the sun may provide you with shade. I too shall by and by take shelter under the canopy of the dense, shady trees in the forest. What thoughts, what sentences, what a scenario. Let all the four of us honor and safeguard the word of our father. You ought not to be dejected, my brother. Saying this, Rama embraced him. After much thought and persuasion, Bharat agreed to return to Ayodhya without Rama. In a tremulous voice he submitted, I cannot take care of the kingdom all by myself. I cannot please the residents of Ayodhya who love you. They adore you, my brother. Arya, I place these golden sandals at your feet. Please touch them with your toes. These will then look after the welfare of the world. The glorious Ram put on the sandals and then handed them over to Bharat. Bowing to the sandals, Bharat said, Raghunandan, dressed in bark, loose robes, and with my hair braided like a hermit's, I shall live outside the city, waiting for your return. I shall subsist on vegetables and fruit. The care of the country will lie on these sandals. If you do not return on the first day at the end of the 14 years of exile, I shall end my life by entering a smouldering fire. It touched Rama, embraced his younger brother and said, I wish that you look after your mother Kaikeyi as much as other queens. You have to give your word that you will not ever be angry with her. How noble! I wish that you are fair to everyone, Bharat. With tears in his eyes, Rama bade farewell to Bharat and Shatrughan. The three queens, till now nurturing a hope of Rama's return, were grief-struck and sobbed uncontrollably. Rama bowed to them and returned to his cottage. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram.